But how could you sell it if you didn't own it?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Great question.
We were talking, and Joe mentioned that his boat was in the Fort Rachel Marina, and he didn't have the money to pay the docking fees to put it in. And I said, well, I can put it on my Discover card. It's going to be 18% interest, but if you pay me back in 3 months, it's only going to cost you $150, and you'll have your boat in the water for the season. So I went down to Fort Rachel. I put it on my card. It wasn't going to cost me anything, so
Sure.
I could do him a favor. And he agreed to pay the interest, as it
Sure.
occurred.
Yes, I did have a boat. George wanted me to put the boat in the water. The water was on land at the marina, so I'm like, I don't have the cash for that right now. I've got other things to do. We can take it out. We can do tours. We can have our friends over there. Kind of, in a way, convinced me, like, I don't really want to go into that. I have to pay the bill. But we did it. George was complicit in wanting to do that. But that's not doesn't mean I don't owe the money. That means that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
And so the boat is a beautiful antique boat, and it did go in the water. We had a party on it one day and whatnot.
So sometime in the end of 2019 that I approached him and I demanded, Joe, that I got to be paid and I have to have the money now. I want to free up my credit. And he started making payments. And he would make a payment by mailing me a postal money order.
Yeah.
And on each postal money order, he wrote, loan $3,000, payment $250, balance was $750.
Right.
And that's the last statement I got to him.
So, in other words, out of that $3,000 loan, what is still remaining that we're talking about is $750.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's where we are now. Now what happened?
Well, in June 2019, Joe called me up, and someone had bought a house and wanted an MG that had been parked in the garage for 32 years, removed. And so he called me up. I have a truck and I have a car trailer. And I went up there and I took the car and the truck and we brought it to my shop. Joe and I both trade on Facebook. We buy
Got
and
it.
sell things.
I got it.
I thought Joe was going to market it too because he's quite capable of posting it on Facebook, on Craigslist.
Who owned the car?
I don't know. I don't know if Joe owned it. I don't know who owned it.
But how could you sell it if you didn't own it?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Great question.
Yeah.
Because in the state of Connecticut, in order to sell a car that's over 20 years old, all you have to do is produce a bill of sale.
This is the car, and the car, I did speak to George. We would find things sometimes that would come our way, and we'd sell them. So George had a place, as he said, to sell them. So he said, let's sell this thing, get what we can. He considered it rusted. He would send me a text message or something, said it was rusted. I said, it is, but the drivetrain, the engine, the transmission, it's a 72 MG. There could be some value in that. Let's put it on Facebook and get money for it and throw it towards the debt that I owe. And this is how it would be.
Yeah, okay. So you suggested to him that the money, at least some of the money that came by selling that car would go towards relieving your debt to him.
Correct.
You
And if
didn't say what amount, did you?
We didn't know what the amount would be. We weren't sure how you part it out, so we can't know until it actually goes on the market. A strange event occurred on a relationship in the summer of 2018 when this was going on with the loan and the boat. George had come to me and said, I hadn't seen him for a while. And George had come to me and told me he was arrested in Florida for reoccupying a mobile home that he sold to a lady, and she paid him. And could I help him? We do a lot of weird things. Can I help him find an attorney, handwriting analysis for all these checks and whatnot? So I worked making lots of phone calls across the country to get an attorney to help him in his legal case. That was something he wanted to help me get a finder's fee if I could ever get the right attorney. I didn't know how bad the case was. I only mentioned the case briefly because it leads to my own personal experience at my home, which borderline violence with George. And that occurred in a voicemail. If you could play voicemail 1, you will hear George ask me for the money out of the blue. This is the first time I ever heard George being that pressured, that loud, that threatening.
Hey, Joe, it's George. Listen, I need cash this week. Got to come over your house every day until I get it, okay? I got to have cash this week. I did you a favor. I bailed you out, got your boat in the water. A year's gone by, and I need my money, okay? Call me. Make sure you call me, or I'll be over your house tonight. I can't with you no more on this.
That was something I could not believe was occurring because I had been helping with his court case. And so I never had a relationship of like that before. Now, I continue to go on. George, a couple days later, voicemail number 2 comes after I speak to the police, and they call George on, I think it's August 31st, if you could play voicemail number 2.
Hey, Joe, the police department called me up. Tell me you don't want me over your property no more. Not to call you anymore. Well, I guess the conversation's over. I won't be calling you, Joe. I'm going to be posting everything I know about you on Facebook, okay? Take care, Joe.
I blocked him on Facebook.
The question that I have before me is whether the proceeds that got from the sale of that car, let me ask you this question, George. Did you sell the car?
I sold the car. I have a bill of sale for $200.
$200. So since you have said that the idea was that whatever that car would bring, it would be applied against what you still owed, in other words.
Correct.
Then what is still owed is $550. You owe him $750. $200 that he gets from that car may have been a bad deal agreeing to that, but that's what it is. So you got that $200, so you owe him another $550, and therefore I find for the plaintiff in the sum of $550.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks for watching. Now please approach the bench. The way I look at it, you have 2 options here. Option A, watch more Judge Jerry. Option B, watch more Jerry Springer. The choice is yours. Now get out of my courtroom. You have more clips to watch. And don't forget to subscribe.